Hello and welcome to my Destiny 2 on Steam Deck guide. This guide is basically just going to go over, in general, how to get Destiny 2 on the Steam Deck natively, and how does it work, and just responding to a couple of comments that I've been seeing over my previous Destiny 2 videos. So let's get into it. So first off, are you going to get banned for doing this method? Now, I've seen this comment so many times, and to answer the question here, no. Through this method, you will not get banned off of Destiny 2 if you play it through Steam Deck this specific way. So if we go through to Steam Deck and Destiny 2 here on Bungie's official terms and services, essentially, you can see here that Destiny 2 is not supported to play on the Steam Deck or any system utilizing Steam Play's Proton unless Windows is installed and running. Players who attempt to launch Destiny 2 on the Steam Deck through SteamOS or Proton will be unable to enter and basically will be met with a game ban. So to put it in layman's terms, Destiny 2 is not supported on the Steam Deck if you play it through SteamOS. The only way you can play this game through Steam Deck is through Windows, and essentially you're gonna have to get Windows on the deck. So there are a couple ways that you can get Destiny 2, or I guess Windows, on deck. There's some very good videos out there. I'm gonna be showing you one of them, though it's not a total in-depth one. I just want to kind of quickly explain. There are so many good videos that I think they do a way better job than I would ever do, so highly suggest going through them. But yeah, so essentially to get Windows on Steam Deck, there are essentially three ways here. One way is to completely wipe your Steam Deck and just install Windows on the entire internal drive, so you only have Windows on your Steam Deck. That's a completely fine method, though I know a lot of people like SteamOS, so the other two methods will help preserve SteamOS, and through basically it's dual booting, so having Windows and SteamOS at the same time on your Steam Deck. Now, two ways: you can either have Windows externally be installed, so basically Windows is installed on an external SD card or an external SSD. Though I will say, through the external method, I do not recommend having Destiny 2 and Windows on the same SD card. I've seen a lot of people running into issues when they had Windows and Steam Deck running on the SD card. And also, I also suggest that if you are going the SD card route, please do not install Destiny 2 on an A1 card. If you're going to install it on an SD card, please make it be A2. I've seen people run into many performance and loading time issues with A1 cards. With that out of the way, the third method is essentially having Windows and SteamOS both installed internally on the internal SSD, essentially. And this is another form of dual booting, and it's the method I'm going to be showing to you guys real quick. Now, if you do want to see how to do it externally, there's some good videos that I've just shown above, and I'll put a link in the description to link to those videos, so if you want to see more details on those methods. But yeah, let's go into the internal method. Alright, so Steam Deck dual booting, how does it work? And I'm going to give a general summary here. If you want to see more in-depth tutorial and I guess more like in-depth troubleshooting, then I highly suggest you go on to Deck Wizard. He has an excellent video on how to get dual booting and even triple booting on the Steam Deck. So yeah, highly recommend his content. But anyways, let's get into what you need. So first of all, you need two USB flash drives specifically. One for having your Steam Deck recovery image or your SteamOS recovery image, as you can see here, and also another one to have your Windows installation media. So if we go through the instructions here, first we just need to download a recovery image here. I already have this downloaded, so I don't need to, but if you need to, then go ahead and just click the link and download the recovery image. And then also prepare the USB keys or your USB devices, and then also install Rufus if you're on Windows. I'm going to be doing this through Windows, so we're going to be downloading Rufus. I already have it though, so if you don't have it, then click on there and just download Rufus. This is how we're going to be basically injecting our OSs and our recovery images into our USB drives to be used on the Steam Deck here. So I'm going to first quickly boot up Rufus here. Alright, so now we're in Rufus here. First of all, you want to make sure that your first USB device, or whichever one that you're planning to use at your Steam Deck recovery image, is selected here. So here I have a 32 gig here. Next up, you want to select specifically disk or ISO image here, and then select your Steam Deck recovery image. So here I have Steam Deck recovery image here. It's going to auto-populate. Basically, it's going to auto-populate with all the given values here. make sure all the settings are good to go, and then click start. Now, I already have a separate USB drive already with SteamOS recovery image, so I'm not going to do it specifically here, but this is essentially kind of the gist of how Rufus works. Alright, next up is to get your Windows 10 installation media. So it doesn't really matter which one you take, Windows 10 or Windows 11, but I would suggest Windows 10 usually. For more stable drivers, the Windows 11 is completely fine. All you have to do is just download this here, create Windows 10 installation media or Windows 11 installation media, depending on which one you want, and just download it here. You just download it as shown. Click on it, open it, select yes. Have Windows, so get this couple things ready here. And we're gonna go to creating installation media. Selecting whatever, so if you want Windows 10 64-bit, have select the language. And for this one, it doesn't really matter which one you choose. It's just the process differs. So if you're just installing USB flash drive, you can directly boot off this flash drive and install it through Windows. If you are downloading it, the ISO file, then you're gonna have to use Rufus to burn this ISO file, or I guess inject the ISO Windows file into your USB. I'm just gonna do the USB flash drive method since that's what I've used. So if you go in here, make sure your new volume is selected here, and we're just gonna let this run. All right, so we're on the Steam Deck now, and so first of all, we're gonna do something called partitioning. This is going to make it so that we have some space. We're going to allocate some space on the Steam Deck to put Windows in. So first of all, we're going to take our Steam Deck recovery image USB and insert that in first. Next up, you're going to hold the power button and the down button at the same time, but release the power button when you hear the bell from the Steam Deck. So we do that real quick. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, hold. Okay, that popped up, so we'll let go of that and keep on holding the down button. All right, we should see. There we go. So here we are in the boot manager here, and what we're going to do is we're going to select our USB drive to boot from. So here we have our Samsung Type-C drive, so we're just going to boot from there. All right, so we can see here that it is booted. Now I will say here that none of the controls work on the recovery image, so I highly suggest that you're gonna have to use a Bluetooth keyboard like this one, or you have to use a separate keyboard to get all of this running, or at least get the experience of navigating this OS, this recovery image as smooth as possible. So first of all, we're gonna go to specifically, it's gonna be called KDE, the KDE partition manager here. So let this scan. We're gonna go specifically to our SSD, our internal SSD. That's gonna be the thing, whatever that has the most storage usually. So we go into here. I think it's called PCI SSD. Now, initially here, you're gonna be seeing this NVMe, be the entire block here. You won't see this purple. The purple there is for my Windows, but I'm gonna show you guys how to do that real quick. So if you guys don't see that, or if you have only blue here with this NVMe, what you're going to be doing is you're going to first go over here. You're going to scroll down, find your whatever space has, and right click here, resize and move. And what you're going to be doing here is you're basically going to be allocating how much space you want for your Steam Deck versus Windows. So here, you can see here that I have 590 gigs, I think 600 gigs dedicated to my Steam Deck games or my SteamOS games. Okay, so I'm just giving an example here. Let's say we give 50 gigabytes here. So Windows will be remaining 50 gigabytes here. So we click OK. Right. So then we go to this empty brand new partition here. We right click this partition here, right click, and then click, sorry, not here. Let me just do it again. Click on this, click on new, and make sure it's formatted to NTFS here. So if we go down here, we're gonna format this as NTFS. This is basically what Windows uses. Click this, and then click OK. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna hit apply. Now I won't do apply here just because I already have the Windows 10 installation installed on here, but that's essentially how you do it. So to summarize, we are essentially taking a chunk of our Steam games partition and converting it into NTFS to essentially become our Windows boot partition. So that way we have Steam and Windows running on the same SSD. They're just two separate partitions. So next up, we're going to be installing Windows here. So first of all, unplug your USB drive from your recovery deck. Well, first shut it down first, then remove it. And then you're going to be installing your Windows media. So here I have it. We're going to do the same thing as we did with the recovery deck. So wait till it boots, then hold this button down. Then we're just going to open our USB again. This time we're going to be doing it on Windows. So you can see here. So first of all, this thing is going to be in vertical position, so it's going to look a little janky. So I'm going to lower it down, just hit next, install Windows only. And then, okay, so essentially this is going to be the place where you're going to be installing. So first you're going to locate the drive that you just created, or the partition that you just created here. So for example, right, my current drive is 350 gigs, so it's this partition right here. This is where you're going to be selecting your Windows to be installed onto that specific partition. So once you click on that, click next, and essentially you're going to be installing Windows as normal. This is kind of the biggest thing, just to make sure that I let you guys know. Make sure you select the correct drive here. It's the partition that you just created, so yeah. Anyways, after you're done with this, just continue installing Windows as normal, and it should work as properly once it goes all through the setup. So let's get to the next part. All right, so next up is going to be installing the drivers. So head on to your previous PC or whatever PC you have, and go to Steam Deck Windows Resources here on their support page, and download all the drivers here. Once you download all the drivers here, which are usually zip folders, you want to copy these over to an external USB drive. It can be any USB drive, and install them through your USB drive on the Steam Deck. Once that's set up, then essentially you have Wi-Fi and everything set up and ready to go. All you have to do now is to download Steam and download Destiny 2, and you're good to go. So the last thing we're going to do here is we're going to install something called Steam Deck Refined. Now, technically this isn't required, but I highly recommend that you guys install this, as it's going to make the boot process so much easier to dual boot. So yeah. So first up, head over to SteamOS on your Steam Deck by holding the power button and down button at the same time, just as we did previously, to open up the boot manager and launch it to SteamOS when you open up your Steam Deck. Next up, head over to desktop mode and verify that you have a password set to your Steam user. If you don't, then just set it up. Head over to this site and essentially copy the commands over, git clone, Steam Deck, basically follow these commands, and you'll basically have the GUI installed. So once you open up your GUI, what you're going to do is that you're basically going to customize here if you want to. So you can customize a background image, and then basically customize what each of the boot options are. So here we have Steam Deck and Windows, so we're just going to have these two and then leave 3 and 4 to none. After that, we're going to install Refined. Next, hit Create Config, and then finally, we're going to hit Install Config. Now, if you do want to see a demonstration, head over to Deck Wizard's video that I referenced earlier. He has a very good guide, and he does demonstrate how to install Refined. So yeah. Essentially, what Refined does is that it's basically a boot manager where once you boot the Steam Deck up from off, it'll open up this really nice screen, and then you can basically choose which OS you can boot. With how Windows is, if you don't have this installed, what will happen is that Windows will always take priority to boot. So when you boot up your Steam Deck, if you don't do anything, it'll always boot up to Windows first. If you want to basically boot up SteamOS, you have to basically open the boot manager, which is, pulling the power button and down button at the same time. And it just gets really annoying. So having Refined here just streamlines the entire process and makes the boot managing super easy and I guess super hassle-free without having to deal with fighting Windows with who gets the boot prioritized. So yeah. Hey guys, future me here, and I completely forgot to add some extra things that I highly recommend to do on the deck before booting up Destiny 2. So yeah, so first up is going to be increasing the buffer size. So this is basically increasing the RAM, the amount of VRAM to the GPU. So what we're going to do here is, instead of holding the minus button, we're going to hit the plus button, the up button, this time around when booting up. So we do this, wait till the boot up, and hold the button down. Okay, cool. So now we're in the boot menu here. We're going to go to Setup Utility. Here, we're going to go to Profile, Advanced. Go to UMA buffer frame size, and then set it to 2 or 4 gigabytes. You can set it to 2 if you really wanted to. Destiny 2 doesn't require more than 2, but it will default to 1 at first, so definitely get it to 2 or 4. I don't think it really hinders performance as much, but like for different games, it can help out a lot, so definitely have that set. Alright, so next up, we're going to go to power management settings here. So now that we're on Windows, we're going to go to power plans. I have it set to a specific mode, so I have a brand new power plan right now called gamer mode. So this gamer mode is a little bit different. So if we go into advanced power plan settings here, we scroll down to what is it, processor power management, minimum processor state. I have these both set to 90%. You can change these to whatever, but the balance mode has them set to by default to 5%, which is what I don't want, because what that means is that the processor could potentially lose performance, and you could be dropping frames randomly if you're not in a super intense environment. So definitely have the processor state be at least 80 or 90% when you're playing this game. And then maximum processor, I do always suggest to have this, keep it on 100. Now this will kill the battery life, but unfortunately that's what you need to do to keep Destiny as stable as I possibly can. All right, so what you need to do next is we're going to increase the page file. So the page file essentially is virtual memory essentially. So we're going to increase it just in case we need the extra memory for anything. So we're going to go in here, click on right click here, and then click on system, go to advanced system settings here, go to advanced right here, click on advanced, go to performance, click on settings here, go to advanced, and then change the total paging here to at least 10 gigabytes or 10,000 megabytes here. So I have this set to 10,000 and 11,000. This will help in some games. I think it does help Destiny 2 a little bit, but it's something. So, and this will help in some games as well, depending on the game, obviously. So yeah, definitely suggest having this little thing as long as you have the storage space for it. All right, so once you have everything boot up here, now we're on the Steam Deck. We can now boot up Destiny 2. So just go ahead and click Start, boot this up. Okay, so there we go. Destiny 2 is now booting up. Now, it is going to take a little bit sluggish. I am playing this off the external SSD, or sorry, not external, internal SSD here. So it's going to be loading much faster than an SD card is. Using an SSD also helps with the loading times on this game. So yeah, like I said, do not run this game on a SD card if you have Windows installed on the same SD card. If you want to do something like, Windows on the SD card and then partition a part of your Steam Deck just for Destiny, you can absolutely do that. So here we go. We're booting in right now. You can see here that we are running here at 60 FPS. Obviously, that's going to differ, but I'll go over the settings here. So settings here. So yeah, render resolution is at 80%. Render resolution usually is the thing that helps with FPS, but honestly, going below 80, I didn't really notice any discernible differences in terms of quality, or I guess performance-wise. So yeah, for the most part, everything is low with some medium exceptions. Some of these can't go any lower. As an example, some other things, I just have the VRAM, so like texture quality is all VRAM focused, so you can have it at the lowest, but I have it just at medium just because the bandwidth is here. There's going to be no discernible difference as long as you have the VRAM available. So yeah, anyways, let's hop into a game and see how it plays. All right, so now we're booting up right now. I'm gonna show you the loading times on internal. Now, when I first booted up Destiny for the first time on this thing, it was rather slow, but it does get progressively better over time. I think it's just the SSD is just getting used to and warming up to all the game files and stuff on this thing. So on this game at least. So yeah, we're booting up here. We're going into a terminal overload. So terminal overload is gonna be nice because this is a pretty intensive area. Lots of ads will spawn during this patrol or this activity. So let's try it out. So let's start it off. So we do that. Shoot. Can I shoot, please? Thank you. Okay. All right, cool. So we do that. We load that in. Let's see what happens. Let's see the FPS. So far we're in the 50s right now. Running just fine right now. No major issues. You can see here. Let's go into some high octane gameplay activities. I forgot I'm not running Void. I'm running Solar. It's gonna be a little bit weird. And I'm out of ammo already. Cool. Did not mean to do that. But whatever. We'll deal with it. Okay. Yeah. Let me just in there. So you can see here that we're in the 40s to 50s for the most part with these settings. It's completely playable for PvE circumstances, especially on a controller. I do not recommend playing this on a mouse or a keyboard and mouse with these frame rates though. It's just not a good experience. Oh my god, what the heck just happened to me? That was awkward. Anyways, so yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. Let's continue playing a little bit more. You can see here that we are hovering around 40 to 50 FPS. This is kind of expected. Destiny 2, ever since Witch Queen, has not been the most optimized performance-wise. So unfortunately, this is kind of the best you can ask for this one. It's kind of a shame, to be honest, because Destiny 2 used to run beautifully on older hardware, but nowadays it's just been getting a little bit worse and worse over time. So hopefully they can resolve some of the issues and possibly port SteamOS, or I guess Destiny 2 for SteamOS natively without having us to install Windows. But for right now, this is the way that you have to play this game. As you can see here, though, it's completely playable. Very console-like, so like I would say, like think of it like almost PS4 Pro to PS5 levels of performance at 720p here. So yeah. Anyways, let me just get these guys. I literally have no ammo right now. Let me just do something real quick. I'll just put this on right now. Yo, Thresher, can you stop? Thank you. What are you doing there, buddy? Oh, is that Cabal? Oh no, that's a friendly. Okay, whatever. So yeah, just still testing the waters here. Though I will say everything is completely playable for what the Steam Deck offers. Or what. So yeah. Anyways, I think I'm gonna cut it from there. That's basically how to get Steam Deck on Windows, and basically Windows on the deck to run Destiny 2. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like. I hope this guide was somewhat useful, as I didn't want to go too in-depth because I feel like so many other videos are out there right now that do an excellent job of explaining how to get Windows on the deck. But in this video, I wanted specifically to talk about Destiny 2 and how game performance runs on this thing, along with SSD, you know, just talking about general tips on what and where to run this game on. So yeah, hopefully this has been really helpful. If not, then just leave a dislike, and I'll make a follow-up for any questions that you guys have. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.